What's up, everybody? Good Tuesday afternoon, and it's time to talk about a little bit of bad news, or at the very least, foreboding news, because we got a little bit of a quote that I kind of latched onto from the most recent Pete Carroll press conference. Now, this was yesterday morning. I actually didn't hear about this until very late in the day yesterday, and I wasn't able to make a video about it until now. But this is alarming right here. So Mike Dugar has the quote on his X account from Pete Carroll about Abe Lucas. So the question was quite simply, could you get Abe Lucas back this week? Pete Carroll said, no, I don't think that's going to happen. So to remind everybody, Abe Lucas went on IR after week one, so he was guaranteed to miss 4 games. He has now missed 4 games, so he is eligible to return from the IR. And what Carroll is saying is that it's not going to happen this week. But it seems like he's very firm about that. I mean, looking at this quote, looking at the way he says it, he sounds very confident in that fact. And that is very alarming to me because we've been through this before. When Pete talks about injured players, he tends to keep things vague. He tends to be optimistic. He tends to paint things in the most positive light possible. He says, we'll see. He says he's fighting his way back. He'll say he's really close, etc., etc., etc. So for him to just straight out come out on a Monday morning, because this was yesterday morning, and say, I don't think Abe Lucas is going to be back this week. First of all, we can very comfortably say he won't be back this week. We can kind of write that in pen. Abe Lucas will not play this week against the Cardinals. Now, that's fine. That's workable, right? We're playing the Cardinals at home this week. You should not need Abe Lucas to beat the Cardinals. Period. The Cardinals have played some competitive football this year, but that is not some team that you have an excuse. Abe Lucas is not some free ticket, is not some golden ticket for you to just lose and play bad and have everything go wrong. And then you say, hey, it's not our fault. We didn't have Abe Lucas. No, that's not going to be the case here. And this isn't terribly surprising, I don't think. I think that the way the conversation around Abe Lucas was being structured over the past couple weeks, I'm not surprised that he's not coming back for this game. But the firmness of what Pete Carroll had to say here, very distinctly just saying, no, it's not happening, that makes me wonder, that makes me concerned about Abe Lucas coming back this year at all. And that's obviously a worst case scenario. I don't want to go too far down that path, but I mean, look at how definitive this statement is. It's hard to look at this and come to any conclusion other than I don't know if we're getting him back for the Browns. I don't know if we're getting him back for the Ravens. I don't know if we're getting him back for the Rams rematch. So, quite honestly, as I sit here right now, this quote sounds to me like a quote that is kind of paving the way for Abe Lucas to miss a significant portion of this season. I'm talking like maybe another 3 or 4 games. I'm talking like maybe most of the rest of the season, and then he gets activated at the end of the year to kind of acclimate himself before the offseason, so that way he at least gets some playing time under his belt, and he can hopefully knock the rust off going into next year. And obviously, that's very doom and gloom. Excuse me, by the way, got a little bit of a cough, but I don't know how else I can feel looking at the definitiveness of the way Pete Carroll put it. So, first of all, we're going to have to talk about the Abe Lucas solution. We're going to have to figure out exactly how we're going to replace him, but we now have to be concerned that Abe Lucas is not coming back anytime soon. This sounds to me like we are going to be waiting a little while to get our right tackle back. And given the nature of his injury combined with what we heard in the offseason, this could become just business as usual for Abe Lucas. He could just be a guy with an injury that flares up a lot, and I mean, maybe this is why he went in the third round. I and a lot of people thought Abe Lucas would go in the first round in 2022. He fell to the third. Maybe this has something to do with it. I don't know. But this is officially concerning on multiple levels. So you have that part of the conversation, but in the meantime, we got to figure out what we're going to do because Jake Curhan has clearly worn out his welcome. pretty much every game he's getting whipped in pass protection. He's a good run blocker, but pretty much every game he gets whipped in pass protection, and I think fans have kind of had enough. And finally, on Sunday, it played a big part in costing us a game. I don't think it was the only thing. I made that video earlier today, a couple hours ago, basically breaking down how everything kind of broke down, which I think was the problem. There was nobody who was holding up really well in pass protection, therefore, there's nowhere to look when things get tough. But Jake Curhan stands out as being the guy who gets beat the most, and he's been getting beat constantly the whole season. Now, I don't think Jake Curhan is bad for what he is. He's a backup player, but if we're really going to be without Abe Lucas for another extended period of time, like a month or even 2 months, is Jake Curhan good enough to at least get in the way so this offense can be at least most of what it should be? So I'm trying to kind of figure this out here. You have this part of it here, Jason Peters. Pete was asked about Jason Peters yesterday morning, and he said couldn't quite get him on the field, but he's got a real good chance to play this week. And basically, it just sounds like he's trying to round into shape. Sounds like he's trying to get into game shape. But it sure seems like we're planning on using Jason Peters at guard because we're having real issues on the interior because we've had Haynes and Lewis get hurt at different points this year. It sure sounds to me like we're thinking we're going to put Peters at guard. I did a little bit of research into Peters' most recent past, and he's had some very bad games at. He's had some very bad moments at right tackle. It seems like right tackle is one of his worst positions. So I don't know if Jason Peters is a savior. And I don't think there's anybody else on the roster who's going to be a savior. People are going to talk about Stone Forsythe. Stone Forsythe can't run block. Stone Forsythe is not a run blocker. You put him at right tackle, you're putting his worst elements of the position on display. That's why he's a left tackle. Stone Forsythe is meant to play left tackle because he can pass protect. You put him on the right side where he has to do more run blocking, he's going to look worse. Now, I guess you could still do that if you feel like Jake Curhan's pass protection is so bad that you just can't have it. But that's just, I mean, that's going to make the offense more one-dimensional. A lot of people in my comments over the last couple of days have been saying we need to run the ball more. Why'd we stop running the ball? Why'd we stop running the ball? You put Stone Forsythe at right tackle, you're not going to be running the ball even as much as you are now. You're going to be passing the ball constantly because Stone Forsythe is going to get drilled in his run blocking. And Pete, there was also another question asked about going back to two tight end sets in light of what happened in that Bengals game, and he shouldn't be giving away strategy stuff anyway, but he basically said, no, we're not going to let one game drive us off of our plan here. We brought JSN in to play a lot, and he's going to play a lot, and I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. But bottom line is what you have to do is if you're only going to have one tight end in the game, that tight end needs to be glued to Curhan's hip. Because we've seen plenty of evidence now that Curhan, while he is a good backup player because of his run blocking ability, his pass protection's just too leaky. We can't do it anymore. It's not tenable. And bottom line is there's no savior. It doesn't look like Abe Lucas is going to be back all that soon, and it doesn't look like Jason Peters is the answer at right tackle either. If there's an answer at right tackle, I think it's probably just Curhan getting a lot of help on that side from backs and tight ends. That's really all I can say. All right, so that's about it. Not good news. Abe Lucas figured to be one of the key components of the offense this year. Hawks Nest predicted he would make the Pro Bowl this year and be one of the best right tackles in the game. I thought it was feasible. I did expect to see big improvement there. He was flat out good last year. He wasn't just above average. He was a good tackle last year, and the offense has suffered significantly for it. It's just going to be on Geno Smith and on this play calling, this offense, this scheme to find a way to get by without him. Because at this point, I think we kind of need to put Abe Lucas on our back burner in our head and just go, he'll come back when he comes back. And I know that's not fun. I know that nobody's going to like hearing that. But at the end of the day, looking at the way Pete phrased things, looking at how definitively he came down on it, I would be very surprised if Abe Lucas was back for the Browns game or for really, I'd say, until like mid-November. That's what this feels like. Hopefully he's misdirecting. Hopefully he's misdirecting, right? Like that would be cool. But the key is we do need to get Damian Lewis back, and I do think he has a very good chance of getting back this week. And we need to get Phil Haynes back on the side that he now feels most comfortable at, the right side, so that at the very least we can have good things going in pass protection everywhere else. That way, if Curhan's getting whipped, because I still think Curhan's going to be the guy, to be perfectly honest. If Curhan's getting whipped, at the very least, you can help him and not worry about compromising everything else. All right, so yeah, it's not good. This is not what we wanted, but it's a violent game. People get hurt, and you got to have contingency plans. And honestly, overall, this season, the contingency plan has worked pretty dang well, so can't be too upset about any of that. However, we're gonna have to. There are definitely going to have to be some adjustments made to account for this. All right, peace out. Go Hawks.